Now, a man has a right to his own opinions about what America is. She touches different emotion, different people. To some, America is power. To others, she is wealth, luxury, the highest standard of living yet known. To some, she is miracles of machines, ideas, and manpower, which cover the face of our part of the earth. Harbors and boats, mines and shovels, machines and men. Mines and planes and trains and ships and raw material. Power from the earth and the products of our minds and hands. All of it is America. But is it basically America? Is America a thing of steel? Take away our cities, our machines, our wealth. Would America not still be here? To many, America is a way of life. Take away even that. To most of us, America is freedom of the individual and freedom to worship God. Yes, take away even freedom. For would the spirit that first built our nation not build it back? The spirit of the people? These people gave it to us. Some call it the spirit of 1776, but actually it's the spirit of 1585, when these first English colonists to the New World rode off Roanoke Island in what is now Dare County, North Carolina, rolling in the distance. "22 years before Jamestown, 35 years before Plymouth Rock, the spirit that has built America landed with these first English colonists. They were not powerful. They were not giants. They did not think of themselves as heroes. Their reasons for coming here were simple but basic ones, as they might tell us if they lived today.
My name is John Borden. I like to work the land, but land in England was owned by the nobility. I came here for a place of my own, for my children are after me.
My name is Carson, a fisherman. My wife died. I was lonely, so I started over with the others.
I am Governor John Wright, in charge of this colony. When we landed, I was not unafraid, I tell you. Far from home and safety, knew that it was of a wilderness.
My name is Old Tom Harris. I was a beggar in England, so I came along because they loaded food and drink aboard, and for not much better reason. But here in the New World, it was me that rang the bell, called the people together, told them that Virginia Dare was born, the first English child born in this New World. And now, Fort Raleigh was a home.
I baptize thee, Virginia, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Amen.
What spirit is it these people have? What is the spirit they had which remains basic to America? Could it not be simply this? A willingness to accept the challenge of a new world, to blaze trails in a wilderness. They gave us this spirit, that's why we remember them. That's why the Department of the Interior has reconstructed Fort Raleigh and dedicated it as a National Historic Site. That's why modern Americans commemorate them each year as they wander around with cameras and children. A boy from Maryland plays with a cannonball, probably fired by a first colonist. A girl from Ohio examines a rusted sickle that once cleared out a dot in the wilderness. A Coast Guardsman from Florida sees a model of the smallest first colony ship, smaller than a modern lifeboat. From all states of the Union come visitors to wander around the earthen fort that once protected Sir Walter Raleigh's colony from Indian attacks. In Fort Raleigh, at the spot where the first colonists landed, stands this outdoor theater, where on summer evenings is performed Paul Green's historic drama, The Lost Colony. And it's right that this was the first of America's now many outdoor dramas, and right that it is performed chiefly by natives of Dare County. This lady, who plays the Indian squaw in the play each night, is a Dare County housewife by day. Johnny Westcott is a colonist and a sport fishing boat captain. Mrs. Evans is a colonist woman and a hotel clerk in Manteo. And the schoolboys of Dare are as brave a set of Indians as you've ever seen. Actors from other sections of North Carolina are here too. The lady who plays Queen Elizabeth in the Lost Colony drama is the widow of the Chapel Hill, North Carolina writer and artist, William Meade Prince. Sir Walter Raleigh, who in actual history sent the first English colony to America, is played in the drama by a high school teacher from Goldsboro. The man who smokes the Indian peace pipe is from Charlotte and is stabbed in a later scene by a Tar Heel member of the Westminster Choir. And the colonist who falls with an arrow in his back teaches English at Duke University. In addition to these actors from Dare County in North Carolina, national celebrities and statesmen come here too, anxious to relive, if only for a night, the story of the first colony. Lindsay Warren, Comptroller General of the nation. James Webb. Betty Smith, a tree grows in Brooklyn. Georgia Carroll. Director Samuel Selden helps playwright Len Riggs. And Kay Kaiser helps UNC's Charlie Justice with his Indian makeup in his own way. Native actors and professionals, celebrities and diplomats join audiences from all states to relive here the story of the first English colony to America. But leave the theater, leave Fort Raleigh. Wherever you go and Dare, the wind and the waves seem to bring you the voices of the first colonists. The sand shore reminds you that they walked here centuries before you. John Borden, the farmer, Old Tom, the beggar, Governor White, Carson, the lonely fisherman who may have realized first the significance of the fact that here the ocean, the sound, and the water lakes are almost touching. No fisherman is likely to overlook that. And the waters are filled with fish of all kinds. Perhaps it was Carson who first touched a net to the waters of the Dare coast, long centuries ago, in his far-off generation, and who first told in the twilight hours of the monstrous fish that swim offshore. And here, no doubt, once walked Old Tom, the beggar of Devonshire, along this sand beach, where the same constant breezes cooled him, and the same Atlantic washed at his feet. And no doubt Old Tom would flex his muscles and inhale deeply the salt-tinged air, and dream his dreams of the faraway days in his youth when there was no mist in his eyes and there was future in his dreams, when he was strong and his body was free with energy. Yes, perhaps Old Tom has sat on this very spot opened his lunch, enjoyed here the small amount of food that was rationed to him at Fort Raleigh. We may assume that many of the colonists often would walk up the sand dunes, which are the highest on this New World coast. Turn their children loose to play on these sand hills, as the parents lazily trace their shadows in the sand. Here a man may spend long hours walking the ridges and the valleys, climbing to the peaks from which he may look out over sparkling lakes of fresh water, considerably more than a beggar. There is a narrow strip of land that juts out to sea near Fort Raleigh, runs down 30 miles of ocean coast to the cape which the Indians named Hatteras. And we may wonder what the first colonists thought of this desolate and beautiful beach, cloaked in loneliness, dotted with shells, where the waves lash the shore in storm seasons, the graveyard of our present-day Atlantic. What would the governor poet John White tell us in his quiet way? Perhaps of God, perhaps of the littleness of man when he surveys the work of God, when all man has built is insignificant when compared to his creation. And perhaps Governor White would speak of the village places with the sound harbors and the soil where flowers grow, of the warm land with the Gulf Stream washing close offshore, and open pastures and open fields, of the lonely place where a man might rear his children in the way he would have them walk. What would John White tell us of the peaceful life? What did he think of this tropical wilderness nestled between the ocean and the Sound, with freshwater lakes nearby where birds of all kinds have their feeding grounds, near where they lay their eggs in the warm sand? And as he watched these baby birds, bound to the land like man, would he not look to the skies and marvel and wonder and wish? Would he not remember again the soaring dream of flight, that great and challenging wilderness, the skies? And it was in Dare County that two modern Americans accepted this challenge, the conquest of this second new world. With them was the same American pioneer spirit with Wilbur and Orville Wright. They built their plane right here at Kitty Hawk and flew it from where the stone marker sits at the base of Kill Devil Hill, a few miles from Fort Raleigh. The scene on this morning in 1903 was not unlike these pictures of a later flight when both brothers flew together. However, the still photograph taken of the first flight does vary in detail. Johnny Moore was there, one of 8 men who saw the first flight. A.W. Drinkwater, telegraph operator at Manteo, wired out the news of the Wright brothers' conquest of the air. No doubt there was excited reaction to that first telegram in 1903, wasn't there, Mr. Drinkwater? That wire to the Cleveland Leader newspaper. What was the response in Cleveland?
They refused to pay the telegraph charges onto it, which only amounted to 1/4% a word, and wired back the correspondent, D. Bruce Sallett, to cut out the Wildcat stuff, that they couldn't handle it.
And in other large cities, in New York?
Well, the New York Herald had their staff correspondent, Byram R. Newton, and when he sent in his story, they suspended him for 6 weeks until he could get affidavits from the keeper of the Coast Guard station, Captain Ward, and the postmaster at Manteo, and myself, that the Wrights had actually flown.
I see. Then surely Orville Wright was excited when he sent his first telegram.
That was to his sister Catherine, simply said, "Flight successful, we'll be home for Christmas."
A monument of granite to two modern men in 1901 that man would never fly, and who in 1903 flew in a new world, wilderness. We've changed the face of the American continent, but our heroes are the same. We've changed Dare County itself. Hatteras Light is legends old, but the people are the same. To some, America is strength and power. To others, wealth and luxury. To most of us, America is freedom and the right to worship God who gave us life. But also America is still the struggling spirit of these first Americans who gathered one morning at dawn and began their final march into the great unknown of history. For the first colony is the lost colony. So some have said they failed. But actually they failed no more than did the first military waves at Anzio and Salerno fail. Rather, they succeeded in that they showed others the way, and they first brought here the will to challenge wildernesses, to develop new worlds, the spirit which has built America. If they could come back today, if they could see the many new worlds that we have opened since their time, new worlds in the minds of men, if they could walk the streets of our cities, work modern farms, if they could fly from Washington to Seattle with the sun, would they not say, "What nation is this? What people are these who challenge 1,000 new worlds at once?" And we could tell them, "This is your nation, we are your people. We do challenge 1,000 new worlds, but for each wilderness opened, we discover a dozen more beyond it, challenging us on. Even that wilderness still challenges us that conquered you. Man does not yet live peacefully with man, but that wilderness we will master too. That wilderness we must master if we would keep faith with your spirit." In 1589, the first colonists left the word Croatoan carved on a tree and vanished into the wilderness. Almost 400 years ago, they put their fires out with sand. But the flame they brought here has never gone out. It is still the light and hope of this nation and the world. Someday you will come to Dare, enter the fort where English America began. Stand near where a mother once reared Virginia Dare as her own challenge to the wilderness. Come to the place where two modern Americans first conquered the new world of the air. Walk the long white beaches of Dare, and you will see here that from Dare County we have gone far in this nation, to the writing of constitutions and exploring of distant stars. You will know that we have gone far and will go further. For even Dare, the birthplace, is still half wilderness.